How are you doing, guys? It's ZDEyE here. So I watched the Xbox's Developer Direct show and I was thinking about it a little bit, and at the end of the day I wasn't exactly impressed by it. Now the show itself was okay, right? It was not a bad show at all. Like, it showed what it needed to show, and it has a lot of people intrigued towards the games perhaps that they're looking forward to from it. And of course there are few games that everybody will be at least somewhat curious about. Now there are three particular games that I wanted to, see most of all, and I'm talking about Avowed, I am talking about Senua's Saga's Hellblade 2, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The rest of the games, I'll admit, I'm not so much interested. But I want to touch on these three games in particular. Okay, so Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 did showcase some additional gameplay, and I can't really say that it kind of, it turned my mind around regarding if I should pick up an Xbox or, just a Game Pass and play it day one or something like that, right? It just didn't, unfortunately. Now, in some ways, it's basically more of the same, like in every other trailers and showcases that is done. To be honest with you, I'm sick of it. Just release the damn game and be done with it. And thankfully they already announced the release. It is coming on the May of 21st of 2024. So it's coming rather sooner, than later, so that's good news. And I'm sure a lot of people will be very much looking forward to. Unfortunately, there's not a confirmation that Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, it's not going to be a lengthier experience comparing to the first Hellblade game. So if you want to play, the story campaign on the Hellblade 1, it's around 7 to 8, maybe 10 hours maximum that you will get to experience the story. In Hellblade 2, it was basically confirmed that it's going to be a similar adventure in terms of the length. Now, I think that's a bad thing, I really do believe that, but of course, I don't think it's necessarily an awful thing, due to if the developers were concentrating specifically to tell the story and they only needed about 7 to 8 to 10 hours and that's it, they feel confident about it, then that's fine, that's great, fantastic news. As long as you feel confident about it, then it means probably will be a good product quality of the gameplay, right? The game I'm talking about itself. Now the gameplay again doesn't seem like there's much of an improvement, so I'm just still kind of questioning in my mind, what were they doing for the past 5-6 years with this game? Did you really not make anything unique or extra? Now I'm sure they have showcased some unique elements from Hellblade 2 and the trailers and showcases and stuff like that, but all they've really showed to me is how dedicated they are with this game, and also how the actors and the developers are putting their time and effort, sweat, tears and everything into this game. But I'm just thinking about this, and I'm looking at it and I'm just I'm not intrigued. I'm not sure if that's the right kind of mindset I should be having when even watching this trailer, or this showcase I should say. But maybe I was expecting too much as well, perhaps. I don't know, maybe it's my fault in this case. So I want to touch on the second game, Avowed. I want to touch on Avowed, definitely. I think that Avowed could have been one of my, if not of these three games, is perhaps my favorite game that I should have been looking forward to, but instead it did nothing for me. It's just that I'm looking at it, it looks intriguing, looks quite more of the same as you would expect from Elder Scrolls as an example. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, definitely not. If you like that kind of element of gameplay, then I think you're gonna have plenty of fun from here. For example, the Outer World, I think if you love that title, you're gonna love this. And also, if you feel that there should have been some kind of step up or a kind of a progress in development in first-person perspective gameplay as well, unfortunately you're gonna be quite disappointed, because this is more of the same as you already used to. But I'm just keep thinking in my mind, am I just expecting too much? And that's just the thing. I'm looking at these games, and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is the only game that genuinely has me in awe in terms of having the quality, performance, and how it looks and how beautifully it looks. But also Avowed, the same thing goes for the Indiana Jones game. The developers chose purposely to go with this art style just to make it well, less realistic, right, lifelike, but instead have more of their own cartoony or art style, kind of a direction in terms of the visuals. That's fine. I play those games. I like, for example, Borderlands. I enjoy, well, not all the time, but I do like to see and play Borderlands occasionally whenever I have the opportunity to do so. When there's new games popping up that have similar art styles, I'm not gonna tell and say that, okay, this looks like shit because it's not photorealistic. I'm not gonna do that. But also because of my expectations being that I am more of a PlayStation guy, obviously I would be still making a little bit of comparison between the two. I know it's not a fair thing to do as well, but yet, knowing that Microsoft has trillions of dollars and yet also so many developers under their wings, it's just, you kind of expect more, wouldn't you? And also for the past 5, 6, 7 years, they practically been on hiatus and just nothing was going on with Xbox. And this is 2024 is the stepping stone for them to showcase the games that are going to be finally actually be coming out in 2024, and just kind of, you want to be awed, just wowed, right? But it just didn't. It didn't give me an incentive to purchase an Xbox. It didn't give me incentive to even pick up a Game Pass. Now, perhaps maybe that's not the word, what they're trying to do. At this point, I feel like they only care about the quantity instead of the quality. And it's a scary thought, it really is. So Avowed didn't really impress me. It looked more of the similar as I would have expected, and I did expect though some kind of progress or a step up. I'm looking forward to see what they've got in store with the Outer Worlds 2 though. I'm curious about that. Indiana Jones coming in 2024, I think it was a little bit of a surprise that's coming out actually this year. I still do think it's going to actually be delayed to 2025, but we shall see about that. I'm very disappointed that it's first-person perspective. I get that it's Machine Games, that they're actually Wolfenstein guys. They made fantastic Wolfenstein games. Man, at this point, I'm looking at this. Why not just make Wolfenstein 3 like a proper Wolfenstein game and not that Youngblood crap? But then Indiana Jones, the first-person perspective, that's a big step down. It's a very big mistake. Now, I do know that they kind of made a little bit, a third-person perspective in some cases, like during the cutscenes or the interactive abilities when you're going through the world or the environments and you see as a third-person perspective view. I'm talking about a full-on third-person perspective, because Indiana Jones is somewhat of has similar kind of quirks as Uncharted, and I think it would have actually done better if it would have been a third-person perspective. Now, again, I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, we shouldn't be making that kind of comparison, but yet again, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it again. We're talking about Microsoft. We're talking about trillions of dollars of the money, the investment they can definitely make. We're talking about Machine Games. We're talking about Bethesda. We are talking about so much time and investment went into this. But yet when you look at Naughty Dog with their Uncharted games, right? And I'm just like, what happened here? I don't know, man. I don't want to be too harsh about this. Just in general, it did not impress me. Now, the show was fine. It really was. It's not a problem. No issues there at all, for me at least. But just looking at the games never, there's just no game out there has impressed me. And perhaps maybe the visuals, maybe that's the thing that needed to impress me. Maybe the photorealism, that's what needs to impress me. But just the thing, like, there's no progress. There's no step up. There's no innovation. There's no creativity, I would even argue to say, in some cases. Avowed, actually, it's the closest, the one that I definitely would say that has somewhat of a creative step that it has taken. Indiana Jones is more of the Machine Games that are used to and already know what they're doing. I admit that Avowed has actually been done before as well, like I said, Elder Scrolls as an example. Senua Saga, well, that's basically a sequel, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's more of the same, and I think it's fantastic for a lot of people who loved the first Hellblade game. I liked the first Hellblade game, but I'm not gonna run out and buy on day one Hellblade 2, because it did not yet impress me. I don't know, man. Just seeing so much of it already, hearing so much like praise going on from the developers themselves, maybe I just feel insensitive about this. It's a scary thought, it really is. Anyway, the show was fine, the games were not so appealing, kind of maybe in some ways disappointing. They didn't do much for me. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know as well what you should think of the show in general as well. And I actually would like to see in the comments, perhaps maybe it's just me, maybe I'm being too insensitive about this. I do apologize, perhaps I'm just being so numb about it. It's not very good. Alright, like and subscribe, see you guys all.